Giulia. Giulia? Giulia. I'll give it that. So this panel is loose because we have a cable in, because still kind of tuning it at the moment. I'll pop this panel off so you can see. So there's the factory battery in there, and the Helix V8 is there. So we've made a panel, bolted it in, and then bolted the V8 to that panel, cable tied all of the wires and the existing wires back up. Yeah, so that's pretty straightforward. Ground Zero Uranium, I think, SQ subwoofer. Nice specs this. Really struggled to find a 12-inch subwoofer that does dual 2-ohm voice coils that will give me the specs to work in free air IB. This one gives a QTS of 0.67, so for that it works really well. FS is a little bit high, but I think once it's running it'll work fine. It does kind of roll off a little bit, kind of 35 Hertz. It's got a bit of a roll off. I'm sure that'll come up a little bit once it's been running a bit, and there's not a lot of music below there anyway. It actually works very well. I'm gonna use these again in this configuration, because it works very well, very punchy, very fast, very accurate. Birch ply shelf, and as you can see there is a curve to it, because there is a curve to the back shelf, so we've had to use a lot of filler in there to mold to that part of the back shelf. You won't see it at the moment, but in the back, firing through the back shelf is, I said it was a 6x9 hole. It's not a 6x9 hole. It's actually a 7x10 hole, which is even better, which is great. We've done cars in the past. I distinctly remember a couple of Mitsubishi FTOs where they had 6x9 holes in the back shelf and putting DLS free air subwoofers firing through there, and that worked amazingly well. So I knew this would work really well firing through that, what I thought was a 6x9 hole, but again it's a 7x10, so even better. But it works really well. The shelf doesn't rattle, which is great. I thought I would have to build a grill, which would have kind of put me over time, and maybe the client would have had to have come back, but luckily it doesn't rattle at all, which is kind of amazing. So again, 12-inch free air sub, doesn't take up a lot of space, and the Ground Zero sub really works well. I'm not surprised, because the specs were there, but really happy with how that worked. Helix V8, Ground Zero 12-inch sub, free air, Micro Precision 5 series in the bottom of the door, and Brax GL2 widebanders. Now we've had to manufacture those, make them. So we've this panel, let's pull the door to a little bit. So this panel here basically is just completely flat, and it's quite flimsy. So what we did is we cut a shape triangle out of it, made a baffle that was lipped, so it kind of sat on a couple of millimeters over all the way around. Then made a ring for the widebander, glued the two together, stiffened it up, cloth covered it, fiberglass. It's got lead shot inside as well, so it's pretty sturdy. And then there's a bracket, there's a metal bracket that runs across that way, and there's, when you take the driver out, there's a hefty bolt that holds the wing mirror in, and the bolt holds that whole thing and pulls it in quite nicely. Why didn't we go to A-pillars? You can see the A-pillar is really thin, and it's got that air vent, and it goes in at the back. It doesn't go straight like that, it goes in. So excuse me, it would have been really difficult to make that look good. Yeah, the 2-inch driver is really small, but would we put it up here, then we are really close to my head. I mean, that's, crikey, 2 foot away, not even that, 1.5 foot from my head. It's very close. So this way you've got the mid bass down in the bottom of the door, and that all in alignment. it tucks in there nicely. So you've got as far forward as possible. We can go with a door location, and it's wide. It's wide and it's tucked away. It's really kind of dark. You can't really see it very well. Yeah, there you go. So real simple system. Running off the factory head unit. The sun is shining on the screen, which is not great. But we'll play some tracks. All your crash bang wallops there that you want. What's really nice is, yeah, the 2-inch widebanders do a great job. They play up really, really well, better than a 3-inch widebander can. So we've got all the treble and the top end we need from those drivers. I think they're going to need a bit of running in. Personally, they're a metal dome, and I think they'll soften up after a bit of time. Micro Precision 5 Series in the door do what they do, really great, down to 50 Hertz. We've got them crossed over at 70, and because we wanted to make that mirror back small and didn't want to bring it out too much and make it look kind of too much in your face, we've kept that kind of small. So we've crossed that over, I think 750 Hertz. That's it played lower. We could play it down to about 500, which is where that driver can play to, but it just sounded a little bit off. It just sounded a little bit honky, a little bit boxy in that area. Boxy is probably a better word for it, boxy. So I just upped the crossover point until it sounded right, which was about 750. The driver's doors problems are all down at the usual 80 and 120, 130 Hertz on the driver's side, and a little bit higher on the passenger side. So we were into phase issues there, and that was never going to kind of change. So it's kind of what we had to do. And, you know, these systems are always a compromise at the end of the day. So, yeah, it is what it is. Could we have got a little bit more out of those widebanders? Yeah, we could have made that mirror back a hell of a lot bigger and got them to play down to maybe 600 Hertz, which I think would probably be about as far as you would want to take those if you want to play them at any kind of decent volume. The driver's door mid basses, well, sorry, both mid basses in the doors actually worked up quite well to the higher frequencies. Anybody that's ever measured these Micro Precision 5 Series know they play up to 10k, which is great. Obviously in a door it doesn't do that, but they played up to 1k really nicely. And again, all the phase issues were down at the 80 to kind of 200, 250 kind of areas, which a widebander's never going to cover down to those areas. So it was kind of what we had to do. So we crossed them over at 750. That seemed to be the sweet spot. Everything kind of is windscreen height. It's nice and deep. Again, subwoofer is non-existent. It literally plays from the front of the vehicle. There is zero rattle on the back shelf, which is, again, astonishing. There's zero rattle on the back shelf. Really happy with that. Doors work kind of okay, as well as doors can do. And it's a real simple, nice system that looks pretty much from, you know, when you look at it, it's pretty much factory. It's pretty much factory, other than the little mirror backs. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be using a few more of these Brax speakers in the future, because very, very well built. Love the little steel ring and the way the grill slots in and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, build quality is really good on Brax, as you would expect. I'll leave this running for a bit. Thanks for watching. Give us a like and a subscribe and all that usual stuff. Later, Platinum in Car.